Leon, married to Chloe for 7 years. Known her for 11. Life with her has been, well, fun. Actually, fun is selling it short. It's like living inside one of those Instagram travel reels where everyone's happy, the sun's shining, and somehow your wine never spills. We never wanted kids. I mean, who needs tiny humans throwing crayons at your walls when you can jet off to Napa for wine tastings, hit up rooftop bars in the city on a random Wednesday, and spend weekends binging our favorite shows for the 100th time while demolishing pizza and beer like it's an Olympic sport? That's the dink life, baby. Dual income, no kids. Pure bliss. Last week was our 7th anniversary. And let me tell you, what should have been a celebration of our undying love for each other and our shared disdain for responsibility turned into the moment my world started to crumble. Honestly, it was like watching a rom-com where the guy suddenly realizes he's about to do everything wrong in the last 5 minutes. Except I didn't get a cute montage, just impending doom. For context, I've never been great at picking gifts. I mean, if left to my own devices, I'd probably show up with a gift card to a place she's never heard of, wrapped in a napkin, and call it a day. Early on, this used to cause, let's call it, heated discussions. She'd fight me over it like it was the final round of a WWE match. So, we made a deal. A month before any big occasion, anniversary, birthday, holidays, she would give me a top 3 list of gifts she wanted. I'd pick 1, 2, or all 3 depending on the budget. It worked. She got what she wanted, I didn't look like a total schmuck, and the thrill of unwrapping was still there. Win-win. Simple. Genius, really. This year, as the anniversary approached, I started gently, very gently, hinting for the list. Hey, just thought I'd check if the list is ready, I said. Chloe, with that mischievous grin, said, Leon, I'm going to do something different this year. Surprise, surprise. No list. You'll see on the anniversary. I blinked. No list? You mean like chaos? Not chaos, babe. Magic, she replied, as if she were Gandalf and I was Frodo. Except instead of a quest, it involved wrapping paper and me probably failing spectacularly. Magic, I echoed, trying to summon some optimism. You mean like, I'll end up crying in the parking lot because I bought a toaster and you wanted a vacation? She laughed, because of course she did. She's always been the one to spice things up. She's got this way of turning the boring stuff into magic. It's actually a talent. Seriously, she could make waiting in line at the DMV feel like a Beyoncé concert. I shrugged, muttered something about my trust issues with surprises, but deep down, I trusted her. Old school, maybe, but she's only the second woman I've ever been with in my life. And that's why I trusted her to lead the way. I patiently waited for the day, all pumped that Chloe was planning something special to make our anniversary unforgettable. Boy, could I have been more wrong. 2 days before our anniversary, I dragged myself home from work, bone-tired, barely able to keep my eyes open, and I walk into what looks like a scene ripped straight out of a romance novel. The lights are dim, soft jazz is floating through the air, and there's Chloe, standing in the doorway like she just stepped out of a perfume ad. She's wearing that black lace lingerie that barely counts as clothing. I mean, technically it's fabric, but my brain is screaming, is this even legal? Her makeup is perfect, dark red lips, just how I like them. And those eyes, that mischievous spark that's simultaneously adorable and terrifying. I'm already on a full-on roller coaster of excitement, thinking, dang, she's really pulling out all the stops. Maybe she's about to reveal she's secretly an international spy or something. She grabs my hand and leads me upstairs to our attic, which, surprise, surprise, she's transformed into a romantic hideaway. Scented candles flicker, casting these warm, flattering shadows on the walls. And there's a bottle of our favorite Merlot chilling right next to a spread of my favorite macaroni and cheese, still steaming. Steaming macaroni and cheese, in the middle of this romance setup? Genius. I feel this warm swell of love and appreciation, thinking this is her way of setting the mood for our anniversary. As we're climbing the stairs, I can't resist and grab her butt. She yelps, laughs, and I ask, so, what's the special occasion? She leans in, her breath warm against my ear, and whispers, today I'll tell you what I want for our anniversary. My pulse goes full NASCAR, and I'm grinning like a doofus, waiting for her big reveal. We settle into the attic. She pours me a glass of wine, and things get interesting. She starts with some heavy, dirty talk, building this crazy vibe, then dances around the subject, talking about how we're in the last leg of our youth, how we've only got a few years left to explore all our sexual desires. I'm sitting there, half confused, half imagining she's about to pitch something wild from one of those spicy Netflix shows she binges. Maybe she's about to ask me to join some obscure, slightly illegal-seeming kink. Or worse, she might suggest something that sounds fancy, but but ends with me awkwardly sitting in a blindfold at a couple's retreat. She's setting it up like she knows I'll need convincing. And of course, I'm already eating it up. The candles, the wine, her voice. It's like she's built this emotional trap, and I'm running straight into it with both eyes closed. I'm thinking, all right, babe. You're right. We should try everything at least once. Sure. Why not? I'm game. My heart is pounding. I'm practically vibrating with excitement, ready to say yes to whatever she wants. And then boom. She drops the bombshell. Leon. She says, all calm and angelic. Let's explore outside our marriage. See what the world has to offer. I stop breathing. My heart does that weird flip thing, like it just realized it's auditioning for Cirque du Soleil. My brain short circuits. I stare at her, blank, mouth probably hanging open like some cartoon character. What? I manage to squeak out. My voice cracks like I'm a teenager asking to borrow the car. We? You mean like, together? Or alone? I wait, what? Before I can fully spiral into a panic-induced meltdown, she grabs me, wraps me in her arms like a human-sized stress ball, and whispers, I know it's overwhelming, but I've been hearing about this stuff, and it has improved so many marriages. I blink at her. Spark? Spark? What spark are you talking about? I didn't even know our spark was gone. Last I checked, we go on dates twice a month, fancy dinners, comedy shows, music events. Our sex life? Twice, sometimes thrice a week, and let me tell you, it's good. Weekend getaways every 3 months, like our trek by the hills, the forest stay, and let's not forget the big one every summer, Hawaii last year. Social life? On point. Hosting Thanksgiving, family barbecues, holiday parties, friends dropping by. Heck, we even have time to binge watch shows for the 100th time and still eat pizza in bed. I throw up my hands, exasperated. We have it all, Chloe. I mean, seriously, we have it all. I'm ranting at her, my voice shaky, like I'm standing on the edge of some emotional cliff, and someone just pushed me off. The ground feels like it's vanished, and I'm flailing, trying to grab onto something. Anything. She's there, fondling my arms like she thinks gentle touches can patch a nuclear explosion in my brain. Her touch is soft, sure, but comforting? Huh, not anymore. I know you're scared, she says, all calm and sultry. So am I. That's why I found another couple, newbies, just like us. We'll explore together. I freeze. My brain short-circuits like a cheap toaster. Wait, what? Another couple? How did you even think of this? How did this occur to you? And, since when have you been planning this? Searching for people, arranging all of this. She shrugs like it's no big deal, which, of course, is infuriating. I randomly bumped into a video of a couple talking about their open marriage, and then, well, Instagram started shoving more reels in my face. So I did research, measured the impact. According to my data, it's only positive. Positive? I sputter. Positive? Chloe, I've got spreadsheets of our bills that are positive, and I don't want to die over those. I asked the question that's been burning a hole in my brain. Why didn't you tell me when you were doing this research? She pouts. Or maybe it's just my imagination because I'm seeing red. I wanted to be sure before breaking the news, she says, like she just told me she baked cookies instead of detonating a bomb. And then, the mind-melting part. She wants to try this experiment on our anniversary. This was the gift she really wanted. Not a necklace, not a weekend getaway. No, a potential emotional landmine disguised as romance. I sit there, numb, as she rambles about how it'll reignite our passion. Then she whips out her phone. Oh no. She's scrolling, showing me pictures of this couple she's shortlisted. She zooms in on the woman's assets, highlighting them like she's trying to sell me a timeshare in pleasure. My stomach does that, excuse me, what the hell, somersault, and I snap. I shove the phone away like it's radioactive and make it crystal clear. I am not interested. Not even a little. Nothing's changing my mind. Usually, when I shut down her ideas, she goes full defense mode. Outdated, boring, old school Leon this, old fashioned Leon that. But this time calm. Reasoning. Let's do it once, she says, all soft and relentless. If you don't enjoy it, we'll stop. What's wrong with trying once? At least meet them and see if we want to go ahead. I shake my head like a bobblehead on fast forward, heart pounding with betrayal. I have one answer. A big, fat, capital N-L. But she keeps pushing, soft voice but merciless, pleading almost. But why? I'm giving you permission to be with another woman. You're so lucky to have me. I choke on my words, finally managing to spit out the truth. I don't want this. This isn't the kind of marriage I signed up for. We went back and forth for hours. My voice started to sound like a hoarse frog on a gravel road, and her eyes? Glistening like she was auditioning for a melodramatic soap opera. I swear, one tear, and I'd have called in a lifeguard. Finally, when she realized I wasn't budging, she stood up, yanked her nightgown around her like a superhero cape, and stormed off to bed. Stormed off to bed. I didn't even know that was a thing. Me? I was too exhausted to argue or cry or negotiate for world peace, so I crashed too. But sleeping next to her, it was weird. She didn't feel like the woman I married anymore. 1 minute, I'm madly in love, thinking she's the genius behind all the magic in my life. The next, she's some stranger with a dangerously mischievous mind, plotting my emotional downfall. I could practically hear my marriage whispering, doomed. I was too scared to admit it, though, because, vulnerability is so in right now. The next 2 days leading up to our anniversary? Pure hell. She barely talked to me, left for work like a ninja at sunrise, and came home late like she was on some secret spy mission. Her face was the perfect mix of cold and distant, her stature rigid. I didn't even want to talk to her either. She was behaving like a teenager throwing a tantrum because someone ate the last slice of pizza. Finally, anniversary morning, I fired up the stove, flipping pancakes with blueberries, her favorite, while my blood boiled. I even did the fancy swirl thing with the syrup. A work of art. Well, to be honest, I never offered her the food, but she looked at it, and what does she do? Got a meeting, she says, and bolts out the door faster than a caffeinated squirrel. I didn't stop her, didn't follow her. I didn't try to smooth things over. Nope. I let her know, loud and clear, that she had screwed up, and that this wasn't going to slide. But this time, I wasn't going to give in. Nope. Not a word. Not an apology. Not an attempt to pacify her. I'd already asked her to move out of our bedroom until she could get her head straight. That, of course, sparked a fight, because of course it did. I ended up hauling all her stuff into the guest bedroom like some kind of dramatic Tetris champion and told her, flat out, "You're banished. Go think straight." She hit me with her goated guilt trip. "If you loved me, you'd agree with me." I stared right back and said, "If you loved me, you wouldn't have asked for an open marriage." Boom. Silence. The kind of silence you could bottle and sell to people who hate small talk. When I got home later, she was gone. I waited and waited. A part of me wanted to call, but my gut already had the GPS coordinates of where she was and who she was with. Pretty sure that was my last day as a married man. So, like the level-headed adult in a tragic rom-com, I packed my essentials, clothes, laptop, important documents, into the attic. Why the attic? Because if I'm leaving like I'm planning a dramatic comeback montage later. I spent the night staring at the ceiling through my window, asking myself life's big questions. How did I go from rooftop bars and wine tastings to this existential pancake nightmare? By dawn, I knew it was over. And honestly, my grip on the situation was weaker than hotel shampoo. So, I went for a walk. Not the relaxing, clear your head and listen to birds chirp kind of walk. No, this was more of a, I need to keep moving or I'm going to break that bitch's neck in two walk. By the time I came back, I was on the couch, sipping my coffee, lost in thought, staring at nothing like a man in a bad indie film. Then she stumbled in, messy hair, smudged makeup, looking like she'd just wrestled a raccoon in a wind tunnel. It was almost 6 a.m. Without even looking at her, I asked, nice and casual, "So, how was it?" Cold as ice, she shot back. "I went out with my coworkers. Passed out at Mindy's." I turned my head slowly, like a horror movie villain, and gave her the kind of stare that could peel paint. "I know the truth." She sighed, one of those deep, overdramatic sighs, then snapped. "What should I do then? You just don't want to give up your Stone Age beliefs." That did it. My voice dropped low, bitter enough to curdle milk. "Yeah, Stone Age beliefs that don't give you a license to sleep around like a hooker." She fired back instantly. "Look, you don't own me. If you want, you can have it, too. I have no problem. But you can't stop me." My heart was busy shattering into confetti at that point, but I just nodded, barely whispering, "Yeah, I can't stop a hooker, and you know the best part, I don't want to." She went straight to the shower, and I grabbed my already packed stuff and moved from my bedroom to the attic, because my bedroom reminded me of her. I call it my dungeon, not because it's creepy, but because it's my private, locked-down escape zone. Accessible through a back door, with a staircase from the garage straight to the attic. Zero accidental encounters. The main house could have been on fire, and I still wouldn't have to bump into her. When she came out of the bedroom, she saw me hauling my stuff. She gave me this pissed off, "I'm the victim here, look," then stormed out to work like she was doing me a favor. I took the day off, not for self-care, but to plot my next move. By noon, I was deep into Google, hunting for the best divorce lawyer in town. Only problem? No hard evidence of her cheating, unless you count that morning's little verbal slip-up. Which, lucky for me, I had recorded, because I had my recorder on before confronting her. And not just then, oh no. Every time I head down to the kitchen for coffee, water, or a snack, my recorder's on, capturing every word. "I met the attorney today. Name's Ron Jeremy." "Yeah, like that Ron Jeremy. But instead of the, filmography you're thinking of, this guy looked like a hitman who moonlights as a nightclub DJ. Picture a man who could either draft your will or make you disappear, depending on whether you pay the retainer. His suit was the kind of shiny that suggested either extreme wealth or that he'd just been rained on and decided to roll with it. He listened to my story with this grim nod, like he was auditioning for the role of wise elder in some mythical legal drama. I half expected him to pull out a smoking pipe and say, "Ah yes, the ancient laws of matrimonia apply here." I played him the recording, and he leaned back, steepling his fingers in a way that screamed, "I have vanquished greater foes than your cheating wife." "Interesting," he said, slow and deliberate, like the sound was worth billing me for. "I'll review the case and call you back tomorrow to discuss next steps." Translation: I'm about to charge you for thinking about charging you. Meanwhile, I'm losing my mind with every passing day. My sanity's on a countdown clock, and I'm living in the attic like some bitter raccoon who pays property taxes. I try to have minimum encounters with her. She hears my footsteps. Boom. She's gone. Retreats to her room like she's dodging sniper fire. She's keeping her distance, too, but not because she feels guilty. Oh no. She's playing the angry card, strutting around like I'm the bad guy here. The gall. Acting like I wandered into her life and knocked over her happy little moral sandcastle. But here's the thing. She can try all the gaslighting she wants. She's not flipping this script on me. I know what I heard. I know what she did. And I'm going to blindside her with a divorce just like she blindsided me with her betrayal. I found a small one-bedroom apartment across town to start over. It wasn't much, just 4 walls, a questionable carpet stain, and a kitchen that screamed microwave only, but it was mine. Within a few weeks, my lawyer, Sir Ron Jeremy, knight of the legal table, had everything ready. He was like a medieval crusader, except instead of armor, he wore a black suit sharp enough to slice through my marriage, and instead of a sword, he wielded subpoenas. The divorce papers were clean and simple, irreconcilable differences, with a side order of cold, hard audio proof of her admitting she'd do whatever she wanted with or without my consent. Nothing like hearing your wife declare herself the pirate queen of infidelity to really spice up your case file. By now, running my recorder every time I went downstairs was just habit. It was like my emotional security blanket, except instead of keeping me warm, it caught her trying to sell me on moral bankruptcy. When the day came, I didn't warn her. Oh no, this was going to be a poetic gut punch, just like the one she gave me when she dropped her open marriage grenade. I'd already moved my essentials to the new place the night before. My toothbrush, my laptop, my dignity, it was all gone. The process server showed up at our house on a Tuesday afternoon while I was at work. Perfect timing. She'd be home, marinating in her imaginary upper hand in our Cold War. And then, bam, legal Excalibur, right to the chest. I wasn't there for the moment of impact, but my knight in black armor told me she'd called his office in a panic. Apparently, her voice was shaky, confused, demanding to know what the hell is going on. I could practically hear him coolly adjusting his tie as he said, "Ma'am, I believe the papers explain themselves." Then came the flood, calls, voicemails, texts, everything from "How could you do this?" to "We need to talk, please." I didn't respond. Sure, my stomach was doing backflips, but the memory of her cold, "You don't own me," kept me steady. That was my anchor. I was done being manipulated. That night, I came back to the house one last time to grab the final boxes. She was waiting, eyes red, makeup streaked like she'd been auditioning for a sad clown convention. She looked smaller somehow, not the swaggering, confident woman who'd once paced around the attic, pitching her open marriage fantasy like a late-night infomercial. She begged for reconciliation. Her voice cracked like a warped record. "I didn't mean for it to go this far," she said, clutching my arms like she was trying to staple our marriage back together with sheer desperation. Tears streaked down her cheeks. "I was stupid, okay? I got caught up in this idea, but I love you. We can fix this." I let out a laugh, cold, jagged, the kind you hear right before the villain does something regrettable. "Oh no, darling, there's nothing to fix. You wanted an open marriage? Well, congratulations, it's so open now. The hinges are gone, the doors in the landfill, and the house burned down. Go ahead, work your way through the whole zip code. Start a loyalty program, hand out punch cards, 10 rides, 1 free. Hell, write a damn coffee table book, a taxonomy of local men, by girth, shape, and regrettable performance. You're so into research. Perfect. Go gather your thrust per minute. Stats, run the numbers, and publish them in whatever sad little journal caters to the kind of science you're practicing." She launched into a desperate pitch. Counseling, dropping the open marriage thing, doing anything to save us. For just a second, I saw her again, The woman I fell for 11 years ago. The one who'd laugh at my catastrophic attempts at omelets, who planned our summer road trips with the efficiency of a NASA mission control team. But then, like some cursed film reel nobody asked to see, I pictured her staggering in at 6 a.m., smelling like a cologne clearance bin, God knows how many rounds deep with God knows how many losers, launching into her, "You don't owe me" speech like she'd just liberated Paris. That was the freeze frame for me. The exact moment I knew the credits had rolled on whatever this marriage was, and the sequel was just going to be a sex tape nobody would pay to watch. I shook my head. My throat felt like it had been lined with sandpaper. I wanted to unload about the betrayal, the disrespect, the fact that she'd made me feel like a tenant in my own marriage, but all that came out was, "You made your choice. I'm not the one who broke this." I grabbed my last bag, walked out without looking back, and drove to my new place. That night was the loneliest I'd felt in years. I cracked open a beer, stared at the ceiling, and sat in that bizarre emotional purgatory of feeling free and gutted at the same time. The only steady thing in this mess had been my best friend. We'd been tight since our Ohio State days, late-night study sessions, bad beer, and worse decisions. He was the one who'd push me to lawyer up after hearing Chloe's recorded, "You don't own me" rant. But when the moment to serve the papers got close, he started changing gears on me. We met at our usual dive bar, the kind of place where the lights are low enough to hide bad choices, and he was quieter than usual, nursing his beer like it had the answers at the bottom. "Buddy," he finally said, "you sure about this? I get it. She messed up, but divorce, that's forever." I stared at him. "You remember what she said that morning after she came home from whatever that was?" He sighed, rubbing the back of his neck. I know. I don't want you to regret this, bro. My parents split when I was a kid, and it messed me up. Just make sure you're doing this for you, not out of anger." His words landed harder than I wanted to admit. If we'd had kids, I might have second-guessed myself. But standing there, beer in hand, I knew this was the best thing I could do for myself. He saw the determination on my face and gave me a slow nod. "All right," he said, voice steady. "I got your back. Just don't shut me out, okay?" "Yeah," I said, my throat feeling tight. True to his word, he even helped me move my stuff into the new place, cracking jokes the whole time about my so-called bachelor pad. "Man, this is prime real estate for sad microwave dinners and way too much takeout," he teased, tossing a box of my books onto the couch. I laughed, but it was half-hearted. Still, having him there, keeping the mood light, kept me from spiraling into a pit I wasn't sure I could climb out of. And somewhere in the middle of all the chaos, I realized just how damn alone I'd feel if I didn't have him in my corner. The divorce proceedings were slow as hell, like dragging a dead weight uphill. We ended up in court because my ex refused to sign the papers without a fight. She went all in, hired her own lawyer, some slick guy in a $1,000 suit who tried to paint me as the unreasonable one. He stood there in court, all puffed up confidence, telling the judge I had abandoned the marriage by moving up to the attic. I wanted to laugh at the absurdity, but Ron didn't crack a smile. He just adjusted his tie like he was about to walk into the climax of some ridiculous courtroom porno parody and said, "Your Honor, I have a few questions for the witness." He strolled up to Chloe, all calm and almost too friendly. "Mrs. Leon, did you or did you not tell my client, and I quote, 'You don't own me'? If you want, you can have it too. I have no problem, but you can't stop me." Chloe shifted in her seat. I might have." Ron didn't let her finish. He pulled out a recorder like a magician pulling a rabbit from a hat and hit play. There it was, her voice, crystal clear, echoing through the courtroom. The judge's eyebrows shot up like they'd just heard the plot twist in a telenovela. Ron leaned in, voice dropping into that slow, deliberate tone predators use when they smell blood. "So, Chloe, on your anniversary night, when most wives are eating cake and doing something special with their husbands, what exactly were you doing?" Her throat worked like she'd swallowed a cactus. I. Ron took a slow step forward, voice dripping like poison honey. "Two men, wasn't it? Not the cute suburban couple you'd been campaigning for. No, that would have been too respectable for your tastes. You went bargain bin instead, two random strangers off an app that exists for one purpose, stuffing 3 people into a bed and hoping the fire department doesn't have to be called." He turned to the judge, eyes gleaming. "We have the evidence, Your Honor. Security footage from Hotel Paradise Palm, room 304. She was captured going in with 2 men, all smiles and heels clicking like she's on a catwalk for bad decisions. And she came out at 5:07 a.m. looking like she just crawled out of a minor car accident. No limp from a twisted ankle. That's as somebody rearranged the furniture walk." He glanced back at her. "Tell me before we play the footage, did they tag team you or just take turns until your legs staged a workers' strike? I'm genuinely curious. Was there an exit interview? A Yelp review? 5 stars for enthusiasm, 1 for structural integrity. The courtroom went silent except for someone in the back stifling a laugh, and Ron didn't miss a beat. Exhibit 5, Your Honor. Let's all enjoy the moment together. Think of it as public service education. Ron didn't smirk, didn't even crack a grin. He gestured at the courtroom TV. Roll the tape. On screen. There she was, entering the hotel room. Room 304, sandwiched between 2 men with the confidence of guys who knew they were going to make bad decisions. Cut to the exit footage. Her stumbling out at 5:07 a.m., heels in hand, walking like she'd just completed a charity marathon for a cause no one wanted to sponsor. The judge's eyes widened halfway through, the gavel in his hand pausing midair. The gallery erupted, actual cheers. Somebody even shouted, "Atta boys," like it was the Super Bowl halftime show. Bang bang bang. Order. This is a courtroom, not a frat house. Your Honor, they earned it. Screamed a random guy in back. The judge ignored him, but not before giving the faintest little twitch at the corner of his mouth. The universal facial code for "I'm not supposed to laugh at this, but sweet Jesus." Ron just gave this half shrug to the bench, the kind that says, "Your Honor, I rest my case, and also, please tell me humanity has a return policy." She shattered, like a wine glass getting curb-stomped by a steel-toed boot. Then came the explosion. Chloe didn't just crack. She screamed, her voice ricocheting off the courtroom walls. "Because you refused to open our marriage, Leon," she bellowed, fingers stabbing the air at me like she was trying to put my eye out from across the room. I wanted to enjoy life, with or without you. I wanted to test the possibilities. It wasn't a confession, it was a live-action trailer for a divorce horror film. The words hit me like a gut punch from a heavyweight wearing brass knuckles. I'd always known it, deep down, but hearing Chloe scream it in front of the judge, like she was auditioning for Real Housewives of Divorce Court, made it solid, permanent, tattooed into reality. Then she shifted gears, claimed she'd been caught up in the moment, influenced by Instagram Reels. I almost laughed out loud. My marriage of 10 years destroyed by 15-second videos set to bad EDM. Fantastic. She even tried to sprinkle on the fake sincerity. "I regret it, Leon," she said, voice wobbling. "I want a second chance." I kept my eyes glued to the table, because if I looked up I'd have to see either the judge's pity face or her mascara streak performance art. Neither was appealing. Ron leaned toward me, his cologne smelling faintly of courtroom victory. "This seals it," he whispered. And he was right. That confession wasn't just the final nail in the coffin. It was the coffin, the funeral, and the guy lowering it into the ground. I just sat there numb, wondering how the woman I'd spent a decade loving could light a match and torch the whole thing without even roasting a single marshmallow. Months later, it was official. Divorce finalized. As clean as it could be when the cleanup crew was wearing hazmat suits. We split the assets straight down the middle. The house, our so-called dream home, sold off. Goodbye backyard barbecues and Pinterest boards. Hello, wire transfer and a cashier's check. She made good money as an HR manager, so no alimony. Ron made sure of that. His argument to the court was basically, she's got cash, she's got a job, and clearly she's got hobbies. Her cold, "you can't stop me" attitude? Gone. Any guilt? Also gone. I was free, but it didn't feel like a win. It felt like I'd just survived a war I never wanted to fight. I had enough ammo to nuke her career from orbit, but I waited until the ink on the divorce papers was bone dry. No way was I handing her a sympathy alimony check because I pulled the trigger too soon. The final piece of the puzzle came when Chloe, in one of her woe is me confession sessions, let it slip that her coworker Mindy was the one who planted the whole open marriage idea in her head. Apparently, Mindy had been running some underground free love TED Talk circuit at the office, late night, empowerment sessions at bars, telling junior staff it was totally fine to sleep outside their relationships, as long as it was consensual. Right. And I'm sure she also had pamphlets, punch cards, and a frequent flyer program. The fallout was already spreading, multiple affairs popping up at work, HR training manuals probably doubling as drink coasters. And the cherry on top? Chloe was the HR manager, the actual person responsible for maintaining workplace ethics. When she got wind of it, she didn't shut Mindy down. Nope. She signed up for the lifestyle package herself. Probably got the deluxe tier. That's when I knew I had her. I packaged up every shred of her confession, recordings, dates, names, and anonymously sent it to the company's management. Detailed exactly how their head of HR was moonlighting as a free love cruise director. 1 week later, she was out, fired for ethical violations. Then came the call. My phone lit up like a siren, and before I could even say hello, she was already screaming. "If you wanted to eat my job, you should have done it during the divorce so I could claim maintenance. Now I've got no job and can't get alimony." I sat there stunned. Not because of what she said, because she was more upset about losing her leverage than her career. Like her dignity had been in witness protection for years, and she was only now noticing it was gone. I just said, "You deserve every bit of it," and hung up. Then I blocked her number. Felt like slamming a book shut on a story that should have gone straight to the clearance bin. So that's where I'm at. The divorce is done. The house is sold. Chloe is choking on the smoke from her own dumpster fire. And I'm starting over, one day at a time. Dear listeners, please share your thoughts in the comments section below and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.